What's up, Thrive Youth? We believe that each and every one of you guys has a story to tell, a faith to live out, and an impact to make right where you're at.
If you're new with us today, hey, welcome. We'd love to send you a gift, so if you'll just leave a comment or send us a DM on Instagram at MRCThrive, we can get that to you.
Wait, so you're telling me that just because they decided to watch this live stream video and they're new, they get sent a free gift?
Yeah.
That's crazy. Guys, in a few moments, we're all gonna join together in worshiping through song, and then after that, Johnny is gonna come and kick off our new series called Love, Hate. With that being said, come on, let's sing. I count on one thing, the same God who's never failed will not fail me now. You won't fail me now in the waiting. The same God who's never failed is working all things out. You're working all things out. And yes, I will lift you high in the lowest valley. And yes, I will bless your name. And yes, I will sing for joy when my heart is heavy in all my days. Oh yes, I will. I count on one thing, the same God who never fails will not fail me now. You won't fail me now in the waiting. The same God who's never late is working all things out. You're working all things out. And yes, I will lift you high in the lowest valley. Yes, I will bless your name. Oh yes, I will sing for joy when my heart is heavy in all my days. Oh yes, I will for all my days. Oh yes, I will, and I choose to praise, to glorify the name of all names. And nothing can stand against, and I choose to praise, to glorify the name of all names. And nothing can stand against, and I choose to praise, to glorify the name of all names. And nothing can stand against, and I choose to praise, to glorify the name of all names. And nothing can stand against, and yes, I will lift you high in the lowest valley. Yes, I will bless your name. Oh yes, I will sing for joy when my heart is heavy in all my days. Oh yes, I will for all my days. Oh yes, I will for all my days. Oh yes, I will.
Love and hate. We live in a world where we use the words love and hate pretty loosely. For example, you may say that you love chocolate chip cookies, but you hate Justin Bieber. You may say that you love Marvel movies, but you hate cats. You get the idea. We live in a love-hate culture. Now, for those of you that don't know me, my name is Johnny, and I just love hanging out with students just like you. No, seriously. Tonight, I get to kick off our new series on love and hate, two words that get thrown around quite a lot. Let's talk about love for a second. Love is a big deal to us. Most of the biggest movies in the theater have a love story attached to them. A lot of the songs that top the charts are about love. Americans alone spent almost 21 billion, with a B, dollars on Valentine's Day alone. And even in the church, we talk about how God loves you and how you should love one another. And on the other hand, we live in a culture that loves to hate on other people or ideas. We make fun of celebrities, we bash TikTok stars, we even hate on people in our own lives, but in a private group text, of course. We may not say them out loud, but most of us have opinions on everything and everyone. So, if love is such a big deal, why does hate, and specifically hating on other people, seem to be such a natural part of our lives? There is a lot we could say about all the different ways that people hate on other people, but because we have such a limited time together today, we are going to focus on just one: gossip. Now, before you roll your eyes and think, those people are the worst, are we really going to be spending this much time on something that everybody hates? But seriously, just hear me out for just a minute. Adults are just as bad about this, maybe worse than teenagers, but you do have to admit that school makes gossip so much easier. Think about it. You are in the same place all day long. It's super boring sometimes, and talking about other people makes things interesting. And because everybody is talking all the time, it's easy for people's worst memories to come up in conversation quite often. You may be thinking, now I don't talk about other people, but I know people who talk about people all the time. The truth is, we all gossip. And when it comes to gossip, we all need to take a look in a mirror and ask ourselves if we contribute to this form of hating. I mean, with all of the things that we have going on in our lives, with being as busy as we are during the normal school year, why is it so easy to spend our precious free time talking about other people? Why do all of us have such a strong attraction to trash talking or gossiping or sharing other people's secrets? I think there are a lot of reasons, but a few big ones start with our insecurities. Maybe if we can point out what's wrong in other people, it helps us cover up what we feel insecure about in ourselves. Maybe you gossip because it's easy to bond over. I mean, come on, is there a better way to get in with a group of people than by sharing some key info on someone else and connecting through that kind of conversation? In fact, there's actually an app entirely devoted to matching people up based on the things that they find annoying or dumb or that they hate. Maybe you gossip because it's fun. Maybe it's highly entertaining to be the first person to know the details or be in the middle of some breaking news about someone else. Maybe you talk about other people because it's a competitive advantage. See, some of us, like me, they want to be the best. And we'll actually casually mention how not great someone else is just to show how much better we are. Maybe you talk about somebody because it's kind of the truth. Sometimes we justify talking about people with the fact that what we're actually talking about is actually true. We think that it's okay because the people we're talking about deserve it or they brought it on themselves, and we may call them things like facts or say things like, I'm just telling it like it is. Sometimes you have innocent intentions. Sometimes we just have good friends that we share everything with, and sometimes everything includes everything about somebody else's bad decisions. Like I already mentioned, gossip is not just a high school thing or a junior high thing, it's a people thing. We all know adults, teachers, and coaches who share just a little bit too much. And it's not a guy or girl thing either. We may call it something different, like with guys we call it trash talking, but when it comes to gossip, we are all a part of the conversation. There are shows, podcasts, and YouTube channels dedicated to gossiping about and hating on other people. And social media has made this easier than ever. Hello, subtweet. There are celebrities who are famous literally just because people gossip about them. They've never released an album, they've never acted in a movie, they've never invented anything world-changing, yet they seem to be a trending topic all the time. What a weird time to be alive. But isn't it true that although gossip is a naturally accepted part of our culture, there's something inside of all of us that knows it's not good? I mean, If you've ever been talked about badly, then you know just how terribly it feels. It is not fun at all to be the subject of other people's conversations, especially when they don't have all the details or maybe they don't even know you. For me, the only time I want people talking about me behind my back is if they're complimenting me. Anything else just hurts. I grew up in a small town. I mean like 200 people small town. So I actually graduated with a lot of the same kids that I went to kindergarten with. There was this guy named Matt, and well, let's just say that we did not get along. For the better part of 13 years, this guy mocked me, lied about me, and spread gossip about me. No one should have to endure that, and yet that's what so many of you guys are going through right now with the people in your life that gossip about you. Everyone knows that gossip is a bad thing but when it's about them, but in a culture like ours, a culture that loves to hate on other people and ideas, how is it even possible to stop it? This gossip thing, it's actually as old as time, and we have an answer to that question from a guy named Paul, and he's one of the most famous Christians to ever live, and many of you know about Paul because we talk about him quite a bit, but in case you've never heard of him or you're like me and sometimes need a refresher, Paul was a guy whose life was dedicated to starting churches and telling people about Jesus. And he would often write these letters to the churches that he started. And eventually, some of those letters would become what we call the books of the Bible. One of the letters is now called the book of Ephesians. It was written to a group of people in the ancient city of Ephesus. Now, say that with me real quick. Ephesus. Ephesus was a bustling port city full of culture, diversity, and religions. And if any of you guys have ever been to San Francisco, LA, Miami, or even some types of downtown Phoenix, you know what I'm talking about. It's that kind of feel. It was a town full of people with a bunch of different ideas and a bunch of different ways of doing things. This type of setting is the perfect fuel for gossip. There was plenty to talk about, plenty to disagree with, and plenty to judge. In fact, the people that Paul wrote to, Jesus followers, people called to live a holy, set-apart life, it would have been easy for them to judge what they saw in the people of that town, and it would have been super easy for them to gossip. But Paul, he wanted the Christians in Ephesus to operate differently than culture. So his letter is all about them, as Jesus followers, living unique, set-apart lives. Just before the verse that we're going to focus in on, Paul drops this huge challenge on the Christians there, telling them that the new life that they've been gifted through Jesus Christ means that the old way that they've been doing things, it's actually dead. And he starts giving all kinds of practical examples and ways to live as new Christian people with a new heart and a new mind. Here is what he had to say about the things that we say. Do not let any unwholesome talk come out of your mouths. In this one sentence, Paul makes it clear that unwholesome talk is not supposed to be part of our lives. And now I get it. Some of us read that and think it means that you shouldn't cuss. And while that is actually a really good idea, there's more to what Paul is saying than just don't use that specific set of words. This letter to Ephesus was written originally in Greek. And if we were to look at the original word for unwholesome in Greek, one of its meanings is rotten. And that, my friends, is a great way to describe what gossip is. Have any of you guys ever bitten into a rotten apple, or maybe your family went on vacation, but you forgot to take out the trash and you came back to smelling last week's dinner, looking like it's the worst science experiment ever? See, talking trash or gossiping actually rots your friendships, rots your relationships, and rots your reputation. This is not what we want to produce in our lives, is it? We do not want to be people who put out a rotten vibe. When we talk about other people or participate while someone else does, we're actually contributing to the rotting of some of the things that matter the most to us and to the people around us. In fact, not only does it rot the things around you, it might actually be an indication of something unwholesome inside of you. Jesus himself talked about this in Luke 6. A good man brings good things out of the good stored up in his heart, and an evil man brings up evil things out of the evil stored up in his heart. For the mouth speaks what the heart is full of. According to Jesus, what comes out of you says a lot about what's within you. When you gossip, it shows something about you. More than the words that you speak, It's about the motivation that causes you to say certain things or participate in certain conversations. It's an issue of the heart. And Paul doesn't just point out what's wrong. He actually goes on to give us a better alternative to gossip. Let's keep reading that verse we started about earlier in Ephesians. Do not let any unwholesome talk come out of your mouths, but only what is helpful for building others up according to their needs, that it may benefit those who listen. In other words, the cure to stopping yourself from gossiping is choosing to put the needs of others ahead of your own. If you choose to build others up, care about their needs, and help them, you will choose words that benefit them instead of words that bash them. I get that this is a lot easier said than done. And in a world where hating on people is a literal pastime and can be an actual career path, it's hard to be the guy or girl who chooses wholesome over unwholesome. But it is also one of the best decisions you can ever make. Why? Because what you say about others says a lot about you. Think about it. You know people who trash talk their friends, spread rumors, or always have a mean joke to make about somebody. When you think about that person, you think about that part of them. It seems like hating on people is what they're all about. You're probably picturing somebody right now. And you probably know people who are actually the opposite, who refuse to hate on people, who just don't do the gossip thing at all. I recently heard a story about Steve Carell, and for you high schoolers, he's the guy from the show The Office, and for you junior hires, he's the voice of Gru in Despicable Me. He's a big-time actor, he's a really great guy, but all of the time on these big hot-time Hollywood sets, the cast and crew would gather around and talking around a snack or something or drinks or something, and when inevitably the conversation would turn to how so-and-so was doing or how this or that was going in their lives. Steve would literally just get up and walk away. He would not be a part of it at all. He would rather eat alone in the corner than contribute to gossip. Chances are, when you think about people in your life that are like Steve, it's pretty positive. See, it's easy to respect people like that. So when it comes to your conversations, it isn't really a question of what to say or not to say. The real question is, what do you want to be all about? Do you want to be known as someone who loves others or as a hater? Someone who trashes people or builds them up? The good news is that you have a choice. You get to decide who you want to be and what you want to be known for. For those of you who follow Jesus, that is why God gives you the power to be different. He wants his people to be known for love and not for hate. Just because gossip is fun, normal, or kind of hilarious, honestly, doesn't mean it's worth it to participate. Instead, you and I can choose to be about something else entirely. We can seek the kind of reputation that Paul talked about, one where we are known as people who use words to help others, to build them up, and to make their needs a priority. We simply choose to love over hate. Think of it this way. Let love be what you're all about. Of all the things that we could be known for, let's start with the thing that Jesus said was the greatest: love. And this starts way before words come out of our mouths. It starts with us deciding to care about other people no matter what they do. Then it transfers to our words. We all have a way of deciding what we should say, and none of us would ever admit this, though some of us may not even realize we do it, but often we decide what to say by answering these questions. Will it make me look funny? Will it make me look cool? Will it make me look smart? Is it mostly true? Now, these filters often lead to unwholesome, rotten words, and before we know it, something rotten is spreading in our relationships. What we need is a new question, a new filter. And I really like the word that Paul gives us in that verse before, because it ties in perfectly if we want to be people who are all about love. This new question: is this helpful? Before you and I say anything, we should use this question. In fact, we can put it into practice immediately. We can start tonight, stuck at home with our families. What we need to ask is, will these words be helpful? Will they build my brother or sister up? Will they make my mom's life better? When we use the filter of being helpful, it doesn't matter if the story is true or if the joke is funny. If it isn't helpful, it's not worth our words. If we choose to be all about love and use this filter of being helpful, the words that we should and shouldn't use will become pretty dang clear. It's actually pretty amazing how practical this filter, that's actually thousands of years old, because side note, the Bible is thousands of years old and still speaks to us today. It's amazing how practical that is for us right now in our modern world. Now imagine for a moment if just you and your small group, or just you and your few friends, chose to let love be what we're all about. What would happen if the people at your school, or just the people at this church, refused to be rude, refused to hate, and refused to talk bad about others, and refused to use our time in gossip? Imagine if we chose to be people who use our words to help and build up others. What kind of impact would that have in literally every single classroom? It would impact every single hallway, right? I mean, in fact, it may just change the view that some people have of Christians. Imagine if Christians were known for being all about love instead of hate. How much more appealing would it be to follow God? How much more magnetic would the church be? How much more would people around us be willing to get to know Jesus if we acted like the thing he said was most important? Love. All of us get to decide whether we will be known for being about love or being about someone who loves to hate. Let's let love be what we're all about. Jesus, move in us. Lord, help us to see how we can be more helpful, how we can use our words to build others up. God, reveal in us the parts of us that are rotten, that are unwholesome. God, change that, bring that to life. Help us see what you would have for us. Holy Spirit, move through our hearts and our words. Help us be people who build others up. Help us be Christians who are set apart and holy and who change the world, starting with our words. God, we love you. We praise you. In your name, amen.
Even if you're not a Christian, I think you can agree that we need to use our words for good and not for evil. But if you are a Christian, then I think you know that every single word that comes out of our mouth needs to be praised. Our words should be holy and pleasing to the Lord. In this next song that we're going to sing, the lyrics are, "It's your breath in our lungs, and so we pour out our praise." So as we sing, I pray that this would be true for you. I pray that you would reflect on these lyrics and reflect on Johnny's message and realize that the words that we're singing are true, and they should be true in your heart as well.
Our love, bring light to the darkness. You give hope, you restore every heart that is broken. Great are you, Lord. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise. We pour out our praise. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise to you only. Great are you, Lord. You give life. You give life. You are love. You bring light to the darkness. You give hope. You restore every heart that is broken. Great are you, Lord. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise. We pour out our praise. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise to you. and all the earth. And all the earth will shout your praise. Our hearts will cry, these bones will sing. Great are you, Lord.
We sing that out.
And all the earth will shout your praise. Our hearts will cry, these bones will sing. Great are you, Lord. And all the earth will shout your praise. Our hearts will cry, these bones will sing. Great are you, Lord. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise. We pour out our praise. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise to you only. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise. We pour out our praise. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise to you only. Great are you, Lord. Great are you, Lord.
Well, guys, there's only one last thing for us to do, and that's we're all gonna hop onto a Zoom call chat, which is basically like a glorified FaceTime with all of us. And so you're gonna wanna look in the comment section right next to you, and you'll see the link and code for that, or text any one of your leaders or check your email, because it might be there too, to get the password and code to get in. We'll see you guys there. See you soon.